He never expected his quiet morning to become the moment that changed everything. He was standing at the edge of the park, watching the world move without him, feeling like life had paused on him long before he realized it. The cold breeze brushed against his face as he wondered why love seemed to circle around everyone else but him. He had spent years waiting for someone who saw him, for a connection that didn't slip through his fingers, for a chance to feel something more than the slow ache of loneliness. But fate worked quietly, almost invisibly, until the moment it decided to strike, and that morning, it struck hard the second he lowered his gaze and saw a little girl crying on a bench, clutching a worn-out backpack as though it was the only thing she had left in the world. And a few steps away from her, a young woman stood frozen, torn between approaching the child and holding herself together. She looked exhausted, defeated, and close to breaking. He didn't know it yet, but her pain was about to collide with his emptiness, and two broken worlds were about to remake each other. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected connections, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to life. He took a hesitant step closer, as the young woman finally knelt beside the little girl, brushing her tears with trembling hands. The woman looked barely held together, with tired eyes and a faded coat that had seen one too many winters. She whispered something gently as she hugged the child, and for a moment he saw something he recognized all too well: fear, worry, and the kind of helplessness that makes a person feel smaller than the world around them. He didn't mean to stare, but the scene pulled at him with a strange force. It wasn't pity. It was something else, an unspoken understanding, like the universe had finally decided to nudge him towards someone who needed him just as badly as he needed them. The woman lifted her head, and for a second their eyes met. Her face was guarded, worn from sleepless nights, yet undeniably strong in the way people become strong, only after life has demanded too much from them. The little girl clung to her, and the woman held her close, whispering reassurance with the soft determination of a mother who has learned to be gentle even when the world is not. Something about the moment stayed with him long after they walked away, like a bookmark placed in the middle of his day, marking the beginning of something he didn't yet understand. For the next few hours, he couldn't shake the image of the woman and the child. He found himself wondering what might have made the little girl cry so deeply, what battles the mother was fighting behind those tired eyes, and why everything in him felt pulled toward them. Maybe it was loneliness. Maybe it was empathy. Maybe it was destiny working quietly in the background. He didn't know. What he did know was that he hadn't felt his heart stir like that in a long time. The next morning, he returned to the same park, unsure of what he was even looking for. He told himself it was just routine, just coincidence, but deep down he knew he was hoping to see them again. And fate, as quiet as ever, seemed to agree with that hope. He found them sitting on the same bench, the little girl drawing shapes in a notebook, and her mother staring into the distance, as though lost inside her own thoughts. This time, he made himself walk closer. Not too close, just close enough to say hello. The mother looked startled at first, then slowly relaxed when she realized he wasn't there to harm or pry. His smile was gentle, and hers was hesitant but genuine. They exchanged a few words, simple, plain, but enough to open a door. He learned that her name was Mira, and her daughter's name was Alina. They came to the park every morning because it was the only place the little girl felt calm before school. He learned that Mira was a single mother trying her best to survive after a storm of circumstances had left her without a partner, without family support, and without stability. He could see the weight she carried in her posture, in the way she kept glancing at her daughter as if making sure she was okay every second. Over the next couple of weeks, their morning greetings turned into slow conversations. Mira started telling him about her day, her struggles at work, and the challenges of raising a child alone. He listened quietly, never judging, never interrupting, just being there in a way she wasn't used to. Meanwhile, little Alina grew more comfortable around him. She would show him her drawings, giggle when the wind blew her hair into her face, and sometimes stand on tiptoe to hand him a tiny flower she picked from the grass. Something inside him warmed each time, something that had been cold for years. But love never enters a story without testing the people who deserve it. Mira's life was a maze of hardships. She worked 2 part-time jobs yet still struggled to pay rent. Some days she skipped meals so her daughter wouldn't have to. Some nights she stayed awake worrying about bills and wondering whether she was enough. And though she tried to hide it, he could see the exhaustion etched into her face each time they met. He noticed how she often forced a smile, how she sometimes looked away when emotions threatened to spill over, and how she carried everything alone because she didn't want anyone to feel burdened by her problems. He found himself wanting to help, not out of charity, but out of genuine care. But he knew better than to offer too much too soon. People who have been hurt build walls, not because they want to keep love out, but because they fear losing it again. Instead of grand gestures, he offered presence. Instead of solutions, he offered understanding. He became someone Mira could talk to without fear, someone who made her feel seen rather than judged. Still, every story reaches a breaking point. One cold evening, weeks after their first meeting, he found Mira sitting alone on the same bench, her face buried in her hands, shoulders trembling. Alina was at school, and Mira thought she had a moment to fall apart quietly. When he approached, she looked up with red eyes, apologizing for letting him see her like that. But he simply sat beside her, giving her space to breathe. She finally whispered that she had lost one of her jobs due to budget cuts. Rent was overdue. Groceries were running low. She didn't know how she would get through the month. He felt something twist painfully in his chest, anger at the unfairness, sadness for her struggle, and a helplessness he hadn't felt in years. He wanted to fix everything for her, but he knew offering money might break the fragile trust they'd built. So he did the only thing he could in that moment. He stayed. He sat beside her until her tears faded into silence, until her breathing steadied, until she could lift her head again. After that night, something shifted between them. She smiled more around him, though the worry still lingered. She trusted him a little more. She let him walk Alina to school some mornings when she was running late. She let him bring her tea on colder days, and slowly, very slowly, she allowed herself to believe that maybe not everyone walks away. He didn't realize he was falling in love at first. It happened quietly, in the way he memorized Mira's laugh, in the way he felt protective of Alina, in the way his world felt less empty every time he saw them. But somewhere along the line, his waiting heart had found exactly what it had been searching for, a reason to beat with purpose again. The turning point came on a rainy afternoon when Mira and Alina arrived at the park soaked and shivering. Mira's umbrella had broken, and she apologized repeatedly for looking a mess. He hurried them into a small cafe nearby and ordered warm drinks. Mira watched him with tired eyes and at that moment he saw something flicker across her face, something like gratitude mixed with fear, hope mixed with disbelief. She wasn't used to being cared for. She wasn't used to someone choosing her, staying with her, or making her feel safe. And that was when he knew he wasn't just helping her. He needed her too. She filled the silence in his life with laughter. She replaced his loneliness with meaning. She made him want to be better, stronger, and more present. Her struggles awakened a fierce desire in him to stand by her, not out of pity, but out of love. But love, especially fragile love, requires reassurance. One evening, Mira confessed that she didn't think she deserved someone like him. She said single mothers weren't easy to love, that she didn't want to be someone's burden. He felt his heart crack hearing those words because he knew how deeply they were rooted in pain. He gently reminded her that people aren't burdens, circumstances are. And she wasn't broken, she was surviving. From that day onward, Mira stopped pulling away. She let herself lean on him a little more. She let him be part of her and Alina's world. They spent weekends together at the park, afternoons at the cafe, and quiet evenings walking home. With each passing day, their lives intertwined a little more naturally, like puzzle pieces that had been waiting for each other. Then came the moment that sealed everything. Alina, innocent and heartfelt, ran up to him one morning and wrapped her tiny arms around his waist. She looked up at him with bright eyes and told him she wished he could stay with them forever because he made her mom smile again. Mira stood behind her, frozen, overwhelmed, tears glistening in her eyes. She hadn't expected her daughter to say that. She hadn't expected him to kneel down, gently hold Alina's tiny hands, and promise that he wasn't going anywhere. That was the moment Mira realized she wasn't alone anymore. Their journey wasn't perfect, life still threw challenges at. Financial worries, stressful days, moments of fear, but now they faced everything together. He helped Mira find a better job. He helped Alina with schoolwork. They became a small, untraditional family built on kindness, trust, and quiet resilience. He had spent years waiting for love, thinking it would arrive in the way movies portray it. Instead, love arrived as a tired single mother and a scared little girl. Two souls who needed hope as much as he needed purpose. And in giving them hope, he found the love he had been waiting for all along. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support means the world and helps keep these emotional stories alive. Before we end, tell us in the comments, do you believe love can arrive in the most unexpected ways? And with that, their journey, born from brokenness, shaped by kindness, and strengthened by hope, became a quiet reminder that sometimes the most beautiful stories begin when two lonely hearts finally dare to meet each other halfway.